Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Southern U podcast. We are still here at Nashville at NWTF Convention. We are pretty excited about being here too. I'd never been. Some of you guys, Matt had not been here. So we're excited to be here, and as I should always say, we're joined by
guys.
Bring it on.
I didn't say it. But I'm about to. The AL Deer legend.
Listen, in all honesty, y'all got to cut that out.
We don't.
Yes, you do.
And we're
yes,
not.
you do.
Don't
fall. Don't fall.
I'm
for
not.
this
I'm
crap.
not going to derail this conversation.
Yes, he's one biologist of the group. The other resident biologist, Jeremy Ferguson of Wildlife Consulting Services / Tutland / whatever else we'll throw at him.
I'd take it all.
Yeah, let's say he's been called worse. And our guest this evening is Mr. Paul Campbell. Man, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
He also, it's kind of cool for us because we've not had a chance to collaborate with anybody else on the network. So
here we are, man.
Yeah, here
We're
we are.
just breaking down walls. So
that's it. Yeah. So,
and so two biologists. And what is your?
I'm just a guy. I'm a marketing guy,
Okay.
but mainly just a redneck, just an Alabama redneck.
We'll for your listeners. We'll set the stage. Also, Paul, not a biologist.
There you go. So this is
it's 2 on 2.
This is
This
is like only this. Well, other than the Allen's episode, this would be the only time that I'm not outnumbered.
There you go.
So yeah,
game on.
That's right. And so if you guys don't know, not only does Paul have the Turkey Season podcast on the OKS Podcast Network, but he is also the director. It's the executive director of
director of development. For
director
the
of
Central East part of the U.S. for the National Wild Turkey Federation.
Yes. So it's NWTF week. We want to talk some turkeys.
Yeah.
We've just gotten through deer season here. Alabama finally closed up for what seemed to be the longest
Thank
deer
you,
season
Lord.
ever.
Yeah.
We can all kind of breathe a sigh of relief. And like we've said before, we keep saying this over and over again, but this is not a hunting podcast. It's called Southern U because we are trying to provide education for all things related to southeastern land management, real estate, farmland, timber, all that kind of stuff. So it encompasses a lot of things. It touches hunting and it touches conservation. It touches a lot of things. So and one of those, obviously, if you're here and you get a chance to snag Paul, you do that if you can. So we want to talk turkeys. I don't think we can. Don't think we could have timed that out a little any better. So, Paul, thanks for hanging out, man.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for the opportunity. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And just so you know, guys, we earlier today we had a really great episode with Ernie Power of Tethered. Hopefully, you guys have had a chance to listen to that. But same location here. We were hoping to have done the shows actually from the booth. It just was not going to happen. I'm not sure what the brand name is, but we had a manufacturer of turkey calls and duck calls and whatever else right next to us, and it's just no go.
Quite loud.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yes, and so now we have some.
Was that Prince playing in the background?
Yeah, some smooth jazz or
It's
some.
a good soundtrack.
Yeah, I heard Michael Jackson a few minutes ago.
The kickoff party downstairs is the 80s.
Oh, nice.
80s theme.
All right.
So
Okay.
They're
They're
embracing it.
That's
You
why
saw
that
it.
guy had that on then.
That
we,
is.
We got
had a lot
behind
to do
someone
with
on the bridge
Okay.
up there and was like, I don't know about that suit you got on there, man. It's like bright yellow and top
80s
hat.
theme here.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, but yeah, so we're obviously excited to be here, and we're going to jump right into the way that this works. I don't think I've ever said this actually from the podcast or whatever, but you guys have listened for a while. You know, we have a rhythm where we just kind of ask a few questions, and then those questions get answered, and then we kind of cut things off. That stems from a college professor that I had. It was probably one of the strangest classes I've ever had, but it was one of my favorite classes I've ever taken at any level of academia. And so it was just he was a professor of behavior analysis, and we never once talked about the textbook, ever. We never once read anything from it in class, whatever. He said, if you want to learn this stuff, you will read it, you will study it on your own. What we're going to talk about in this class is real-world issues and the way it works is the class gets to ask me 5 questions, and I'll answer them. And then I get to ask the class 5 questions, and I'll answer them, and then we go home. And so I just loved that. I love that format, and it was always very engaging and stuff. So that's kind of how this
Did
works.
you read the book?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, because also, sidebar there, that class, every day you had a class, and the next day was a lab. You would alternate back and forth. Well, lab day consisted of training a pigeon to pick a light or a little button, and you had to train it on various schedules, and that was how you proved that you could shape behavior stuff. So I've got a psych degree, so I definitely don't belong here. I don't know how I found myself here. But anyways, yeah. So you had to read up on the textbook, or you couldn't pass. And this guy was very stern, very like class starts at whatever 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, I lock the door, and no one comes in after it. And he did that for about 2 weeks. And then he said, have you guys noticed anything? We're like, no, what do you mean? He's like, I haven't locked that door in 3 weeks, but yet nobody's late. He's like, that's behavior now. That's shaping behavior. Like, oh, crap. He's doing it to us. So anyways, that's kind of how the flow of this works. And so I got 5 questions for you. Paul, is that cool, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. So the first one, I was just kind of get an intro, just background for, which we've talked about this a little bit earlier, but how did you end up at NWTF, man? How does somebody end up in that role, and what does that consist of? How long you been here? All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so I started as a full-time employee in January of 2022.
Cool.
So I'm going into my third year. I've been a member of this organization since 2007, and so in November of 2021, I was on the website. I was looking for a new hat. And I saw like a little red button that said now hiring. And, it's just out of curiosity, I clicked on that button. I wanted to see what, kind of jobs the NWTF was hiring for. And so there was the job that I have now was on there. It said that it was remote, but it had to be in one of these like 9 states, right? And I'm in one of the 9 states. I read the description, and so my background, I was a golf course superintendent for 15 years. So my only qualifications for this job is that I like to hunt turkeys, right? And so I submitted my resume, and I just wrote a really impassioned cover letter about what the wild turkey means to me personally, what the organization means to me, and just kind of like my mentality about turkeys and turkey conservation. And so it generated an interview down in Atlanta, Georgia. And they offered me the job shortly after that, and man, I'm just honored to be here. So, trying to find a hat with one of the old logos is how I got my job. So,
nice.
Yeah. Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
And you said kind of director of development. What does that look like, or what's your, I guess maybe like a day in the life or something?
So I work with the major donors to the Nashville Turkey Federation. So anyone that's donated or accumulated lifetime giving of $5,000 or more is considered a major donor. So we, as a team, we go out and we work with folks that are philanthropic in nature, that understand what it takes to kind of move the needle in the world of wildlife conservation and generate funds to help the dollars in the dirt, right? This mission is 2 parts. So it's the conservation of the wild turkey, the preservation of our hunting heritage. So the money that the members and the volunteers give is how we impact the wild turkey and other species, and help our agency partners fund conservation projects or outreach projects, whatever it may be. So my role is we have a joke that this is Southern U podcast, so I say it works better above the Mason-Dixon line or below. Is we're professional beggars. If I say that joke in like New England, people are like, I say it in Alabama, people are like, I get you, man. I get it. Yeah. So that's it, man. We raise money for the mission. So
cool. That's awesome, man. And so I guess within that, is there is it like other organizations where you've got chapters or that kind of thing? So you just kind of like relying on these different chapters.
100%. Yeah. The heart and soul of this organization is the volunteers. It's the members. This organization was started on the hard work of just like grassroots people, man, like pulling up your bootstraps. They saw a need. Okay, how do we fill that need? How do we raise the money to do it?
Yeah.
And it's through chapter events, it's through banquet events, it's through major donors, it's through corporate sponsorships, whatever it may be. But this is, we're here because of the wild turkey, but this is a very family-oriented, personal group of people that care about the wild turkey.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, we have a series of content that we call the 101 and kind of go along with that, education theme. And this could fall into that category. But you said that you kind of got the job and your only qualification was, I love to hunt turkeys.
Yeah.
Right? Well, don't we all?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you the next question is kind of switching to a different role. Because we're trying our best to offer up as much free education as we can to people, and to people who may have not, have no exposure to the sport, and they may watch something on YouTube and go, God, it looks fun, I'd like to get into that, but don't really know where to start.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of switching gears a little bit, the second question is if you're talking to a new hunter, someone who has very limited exposure or none at all, what would you say the average person needs to be a successful turkey hunter? And this does not, we'll talk gear in a minute. I'm just saying, like, from a philosophy or a mental standpoint, what does somebody?
They better be pretty mentally tough.
That's a great question, and I like that. The first thing that comes to my mind is like a willingness to fail miserably for a couple of years.
Yeah, right.
and the ability to take that failure and turn it into experience, to become like just a proficient turkey hunter. And then when you think you've done that, you're going to realize that like you're not even close.
Absolutely.
And that's something that learns. But I think that for the novice turkey hunter is to embrace the failure and to enjoy the process and enjoy the experience, because it's going to happen. You're going to look dumb way more than you look like a good turkey hunter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of your friends will help you look dumb too.
That's it, man.
Don't
That's absolutely
get started.
Right. Yeah.
Don't even.
I like the back and forth we got going here. I'm into this. So I'm gonna get them all fired up at some point.
Have you ever had anybody that you're hunting with just get up and run a goblin bird off?
What are you doing, man? Really? You
No.
did that?
No, it was not like that.
Oh,
That's
how it
his
ended up.
perspective. That is his perspective. And
I mean, did you get up?
I did get
He
up.
got
Did the turkey run up?
It
run off?
It ran off. Yeah.
Okay, there's no perspective.
Perception is reality. Whatever.
Amen.
That's so funny.
I got you, man.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's funny. I think we could probably go around the room on just kind of boneheaded stuff we've done, especially early on.
Oh, yeah. Look, if you're not learning every time you go to the turkey woods, then you're just not paying attention, and you're not a good student, because
Absolutely.
you're going to learn. And like he was saying, you've got to be willing to learn from those mistakes, because you're going to make them often, especially for new hunters.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're like you said, if you're somebody that can't deal with failure, you're not going to be a long-lived turkey hunter.
No.
I mean, you're going to put it down.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, man. And it's when I first started turkey hunting, it was 3 years without killing a turkey. I know what I was doing. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have I had a friend that had turkey hunted literally one time before me, and that was you learn by experience. You learn by failure. You learn by asking questions. And hopefully people give you answers. So especially when I started turkey hunting, like YouTube was around, but it wasn't
Right.
it wasn't YouTube University like it is now. There wasn't a ton of podcasts, and it's that evolution's pretty neat too. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'm not nearly the accomplished turkey hunter that anybody in this room is, but what success I've had has come from a lot of failure and a lot of frustration. And it's weird because my thing is bow hunting. I really enjoy slinging arrows at anything, any season, whatever, I'm up for it. And so I kind of equate it to the same thing. It's like 90% of the time it's just a source of frustration, but when it finally happens, when it finally clicks, it's like, Oh man, there's
Yeah.
just no like better euphoric
Yes.
feeling
Yeah.
of like making it happen. You know,
We really need to wreck your world and just get you out there trying to kill a turkey with a bow.
We do.
Oh,
we
I-
really do.
So, funny story. I've never. So in Tennessee, actually, there is. I don't know if it still is or not, but years ago, you had a non-gender specific, or either sex tag that you could use during archery deer season, and opening day of deer season in a little place called Hohenwald, Tennessee. I shot a hen with my bow. And it's the funniest story, y'all. Like I don't want to take up too much time, but it was pouring rain that morning, and so there was no like getting in a tree stand or anything to hunt. But I was just determined. I had not killed an animal with, or a game animal, I should say, with a bow yet. I was just, wanting to make it happen so bad. So there's this particular property we're hunting has a really big food plot. I wouldn't even begin to imagine how long this plot is, but they have had built a shooting house on the ground, and so I just decided I was going to go sit in that and just hey, maybe something comes out here in this food plot when it's raining or something, or a turkey, probably not, but maybe they'll come out in the fields when it rains. So I'm sitting there with stepdad, and he goes, "Hey, look, Billy's making all kinds of noises. I got to go to the bathroom." So I'm like, "All right, that's fine." So we have walkie-talkies, and he said, "I'm going to go back up." Anyway, it's walking distance from the actual house we're staying in. He said, "I'm going to go walk up the hill, go to the house. I'll bring this radio with me, and if I'll let you know when I'm coming back, so I don't scare anything off when I'm coming back." So he leaves. And long story short, I look to my right, and there's like 25 hens that come out of nowhere. I have still no idea where they came from, and just start walking their way across this plot. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get the full draw without them seeing me, because it's a shooting house that's shallow. So I have to draw this way and swing all the way around. Like, there's no way I'm going to get away with it. But I do. And I get here, and I'm like, they're dead. Like, this is going to work. So I pick one out, shoot it at about 25 yards, and I'm just like, can't believe it. Can't believe it works. I go and grab the bird and run up the hill, and the house we're staying in is what's called a dog trot house. It's open in the middle.
Yep.
He's coming up the middle like this, and I'm coming, up the porch, and I just sort of lay that bird on the porch, and he's like, "What in the hell did you do?" Just like couldn't believe it. And I was like, I was gone for 5 minutes, So that's my bow
and
story.
started the southern Tennessee decline of turkey.
Yeah, taking hens off the landscape.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. I know everybody's going to listen to this and be like, I can't believe this guy.
Hen killer.
I couldn't leave it. Now, that was low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I know. I deserve it, I guess. Listen, I was so happy then y'all couldn't y'all couldn't tell me anything, but
Most poachers are.
oh, Lord.
Easy over there.
I'm not going to go that far.
Says the guy that shoots deer off his porch.
There's nothing illegal about it.
Hey,
No,
you
there's
ought to
not.
ask him where he shoots turkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not go there.
Anyways, moving on. The second question I was going to ask you, kind of switch gears, is we talked about kind of the mentality, I guess, kind of embracing the fact that this is not easy, just in general. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. It's just a hard animal to put down. 3, this is gear related, I guess. You don't have to be brand specific or anything like that, but what gear, if someone's got a limited budget, I don't even know if I like turkey hunting yet, but I got to spend a little money on gear to get into the sport. What, in your opinion, is important to spend your money on? What should people spend their money on, and what should they don't spend it over here. It's not necessary.
A call that you can run, that you're comfortable with. Doesn't matter what it is. Box call, pot call, mouth call, tube call, doesn't matter. A call that you're comfortable with, a shotgun, and whatever camo you can afford. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, if you want to figure out if you like turkey hunting, do that. You don't need to buy a vest. You don't need any of that stuff. Stick the calls in your pocket. If you got deer hunting camo, wear it. You can be all right.
Yeah.
That's it, man. There's no reason to to dive into that black hole that I'm in, where it's just
Yeah.
like, every time I go to a turkey show, or even just I'm like, I need that turkey call. I don't need that turkey call. I don't need that new vest. I don't need, but I get it, right? Because I'm sick. Like I'm actually sick.
We understand.
You need a call that you're good with, a shotgun, and whatever camo you got. And if you're hunting public land, you're walking a lot, a good pair of boots probably be
Amen.
probably
right.
be pretty good. So
Yeah.
You
A
can cover some
comfortable pair of
ground.
boots.
that's it. That's it. That's all you need.
And I
that's all
tell
you need.
you, in my old age, I've gotten past to getting my feet wet. I run a lot in tennis shoes and just get wet feet.
Yeah.
It just
And just move on. I've got, these are my turkey hunting boots. I've been walking so much this week that I wanted to try something different. Get out of the dress shoes. Great idea, but I bought these because they're so light. That was the thing. I bought them last turkey season. Love them, but tennis shoes, whatever. I'm looking for comfort and really silence, I
Yep.
guess. But yeah. It doesn't have to be complicated. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. So, like, I mean, does somebody need to even bother with, like, a mouth call, or is that way too, like, hey, that's way too hard, that's way too much in depth?
I mean, there's like these little boxes that the people, that has like a little string on it that you pull and it'll make like the vocalizations of a hen turkey.
Yeah.
And it like you can kill a turkey with that thing. So
almost foolproof.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, you don't need to complicate things. Any call that you get, like the yelp of a hen turkey, like the basic vocalization of a hen, you can do it on any of them. If I have a terrible gag reflex, so I cannot operate a mouth call.
Oh man,
I gave up on it years ago.
that's my staple.
Oh man, I can't do it, and so I've stopped trying. But box call, pot call. I mean, you could be brand new. Here, I'll give you a story. What really makes me mad is every year I buy a new mouth call because this is the year, right? This is the year that
I'm going to get it.
that I'm going to get it, and I'll just as soon as I start. So my wife one day she's like, "Let me try this," and she puts this mouth yelper in and just starts yelping on it. And I was so angry.
Oh, I bet.
That I just had to walk away. Yeah. I couldn't even do it. I mean, it took her just yelp, and I'm like, you know what? Get out of my face. Get out of my house. Like I was talking to myself. Just walk
Make
off.
you want to quit.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I do enjoy riding around this time of year, though. You'll inevitably get beside somebody and you'll see them.
Oh, you know
I
they're
know
doing
what that
it.
guy's doing.
Man, I bought a new box call. I don't know why I bought it, but I had a new box call. I was sitting in traffic in Central Ohio, man. I'm running this box call, and this guy like honks his horn. He's like, "Hell yeah, man!"
Yeah,
It's just like,
right.
it's cool, man. That's the family, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's cool, too, because I think that hunting in general, for the most part, I think everybody would agree, is a lot more fun when you get to share that with other people.
For sure.
But I think even turkey hunting is kind of even a step up. Like I guess because you're not necessarily having to sit super still all the time. You're kind of moving around. You're mobile. Maybe you've got a buddy with you that's kind of you're running together. Whatever. It just the camaraderie of that is a lot of fun.
I think it's and look, to me a turkey is the hardest animal in the woods to kill that we're going to hunt in the Southeast, at least consistently.
Without question.
But I think it's the most fun a young hunter or an inexperienced hunter can have because you're up, running, moving, you're hearing, and you're essentially talking to the bird and trying to get him to come to you.
Yeah.
And for them to experience that, and every now and then get to see one up close and possibly get a shot at one, but especially kids, and they may blow it by moving. But, that's fine. But see those eyes get that big when that gobbler gets out there at 50, 60 yards and just thunders, and they're like,
Yeah.
you can just feel it. And so it's awesome.
It was funny because this past week I was watching videos on Facebook, and a turkey gobbled like right in somebody's camera. And I turned it up, and I was like, Savannah, she's my little 8-year-old girl. And I was like, listen to this. And she goes, okay. And I said, does that not get you fired up? And she taps me on the shoulder. She goes, no, it does not. I was like, how?
Yeah.
How can that not get you fired up?
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, It does. I've never had the opportunity to go out west and elk hunt, but they, stories, people that I know have talked about when a bull elk just lets loose and just screams a bugle. It'll just make the hair, back of your neck stand up like, oh my gosh. The closest thing I've got is hearing one just, a turkey just hammer it about 80 yards. Go,
yeah.
Oh,
oh
yeah.
my
You
gosh.
feel it.
And I've not been around all the subspecies. I've killed Easterns and Rios, and I hadn't killed Merriam or anything else yet. But we've got God's gift of turkey.
Nothing thunders like an Eastern.
Nothing like an Eastern. It's just
I've killed
something about
Miriam's,
it.
Rios, Easterns,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, there's nothing like an Eastern gobble.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There are a lot of the Osceola is like, it's like a hateful gobble, man. Like if that makes any sense. It's I had one gobble about 15 feet from me last year, and I had a buddy of mine down in southern Florida, had never hunted turkeys, and had heard this is his property, and had heard him out in the woods, but never been close to him. And I killed this thing, and he's like, first thing he says, his eyes are this big. He's like, I didn't know that's what they sounded like. I didn't either. I didn't. He was that close. It was unbelievable, man.
They do sound different.
Yeah.
Depending on the range and the wind and everything, but
Facing away.
a thunderous gobble up close.
Man, and when they're ready to die and they're gobbling like that, that's a different sound, man. If they're just gobbling at an hour of a truck door or whatever, they're just just being a turkey. But
That's it.
when they're hateful, man, it's it's a beautiful sound. So
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I've heard them before, like you said, gobble at a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Boom.
I love that, man. That's one of my
it's
favorite
awesome.
things, man. In Southern Ohio, if it thunderstorms and I'm there during turkey season, I will be next to some hills, man, so I can just hear the thunder and it rolls up and they're just right with it. I love it, man. Yeah, I love it.
That is awesome. Well, I guess we'll go here to this fourth question. Kind of going back towards the conservation side of it, what do you feel like the average person needs to know or should know about NWTF? I feel like there may be some information that you could maybe share.
Scared those kids off.
There you go. Yeah, that's all. Take off running.
So I think the average. So the one thing that we talk about a lot on my team is we talk about the efficiency of this organization. So every dollar that's raised for the National Wild Turkey Federation, 88 cents goes back into the mission of the National Wild Turkey Federation: conservation of the wild turkey, preservation of our hunting heritage. The national average is like 60 cents. So we are very efficient with the use of our money. Every dollar that's raised, the national average is a 5-to-1 match. So every dollar comes in, $5 gets slapped onto it. So when we talk about impact, dollars in the dirt, outreach programs for new hunters, buying, helping state agencies buy public land to open up, for public access, that's an impact I don't think people realize that they have. Right. So if you are one of the really diehard wild turkey national wild turkey supporters that are downstairs right now, you see all of the videos, you see, you hear people talk about it. But if you're just like an average, annual member, you may not know how important your membership is and the money that you raise at a banquet. So, that impact is tremendous, even like on an individual small scale. I had a guy that made a table for an auction last year. And he was really upset because it only raised $3,000. This is a beautiful table. This guy's name's Nate Young. Unbelievable table. He was upset because it only raised $3,000. And I told him about the match. I'm like, it's like $15,000, man. And he was proud of that, And I don't think people realize the impact that they have just by attending the dinner or being a member.
Okay.
So. Well, we saw that working for the state.
Yep.
Every year we were able to. In our side of the work, especially in the technical assistance, we would draw up a proposal and send to you guys for the Superfund project.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
mine got funded every year.
Yeah,
there you go. And so the Superfund for people that are listening is if you go to a dinner, the money that's raised there, a portion of it is sent back to the national, and then a portion of it stays with the state, and then a portion of it stays with the banquets. And then so the state chapter presidents, which are volunteer led, they can approve super fund requests. So it's either from agencies, it could be from county, it could just be for outreach equipment. But I mean, we'll help fund equipment. You know, like we helped purchase a sprayer. You know, just recently in Tennessee. You know, they're spraying cutovers. You know, they're increasing nesting habitat. You know, fire equipment, management equipment. I mean, it's endless. The you know the resources and tools that our agency partners need to accomplish, you know, what we're here
Absolutely.
for. Yeah. And that's where the, you know, those Superfund dollars that are, I mean, it starts, I talk about this all the time. I go to tons of banquets, and I always talk about impact, and that impact starts at those banquets, and it starts with you. And that's, I don't think people realize that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would not have known that. I mean, that's a crazy match.
Yeah.
You know, so you can really do some damage there. I mean, not
Absolutely.
Damage, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess, like, maybe if you could talk about, like, perks of being a member, I guess. I mean, obviously we're trying to ensure the future generations of turkey hunting, and like you said, preserving our rights to hunt them, that kind of stuff too. But I guess if someone joins, that comes with what?
What do they get? Yeah, we get that question a lot. If I do this, what do I get? So it's $35 a year to be a member of the National Wild Turkey Federation. So when you do that, when you sign up, you get a $25 Bass Pro gift card. Johnny Morris, Bass Pro, Cabela's, they've been really good at this organization and good turkey hunters across this country for decades. So you get that. You get 6 magazines issues, Turkey Call All Access, the podcast. Shameless plug. I also do that one. Sorry.
Hey, check that one out.
Turkey Call, the magazine. Unbelievable. It's the best turkey publication I've ever seen. It's absolutely beautiful. So you get access to that, which is pretty neat. We run like membership drives, so there'll be different things. It might be $50. $50, you get the membership, get the magazine, everything I just talked about, and then you get like a really cool like big frig tumbler or something like that, or there's coolers or something like that. So there's different things that people get. Big picture, what do we get? Like collectively, what do we get? People think that I'm just an annual member, right? 35, it doesn't mean anything. But when we talk about, like, once again, we talk about impact. If I say, hey, we have 250,000 members, or I say, hey, we have 1 million members, what has more force behind it? It's 1 million.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So people think that, they go to a banquet, boom, you're a member. They go to this sports show, you're a member, and they're like, I don't really. It's this is a staggering statistic. It's less than 10% of turkey hunters in this country are members of the National Wild Turkey Federation. Less than 10%. Think about that.
Wow.
$35 a year, man.
Yeah, and so like,
I don't. People. A lot of people might have hard feelings or whatever. I hated my banquet that I went to. Whatever it is, right? And they don't want to join, but the impact is greater than just what's in front of you. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so I have like ministry background where I was working at a church, and so we used to bring similar things up and say, like you said, hey, only 10% of turkey hunters in the United States are members. What if that number was 50%? Like, what I mean, do you have any idea what kind of impact or what things could be done if that number was,
I mean, it's amazing what we get done now.
It would be staggering.
And I really do. And I think that, once people, we have this saying, for the employees, you come for the people, you stay for the mission, right? And I think once people start to see, what this organization does, and they look at it with open mind, open heart, right? And they understand like the impacts that we have collectively, and then I think they just come back, and then it becomes personal, right? And if something's personal, you want to protect it. The more people are there, like the better you feel about it, the more support you're going to offer. That's with anything. It's not just turkey. It's anything in life. And so I think that it would be unbelievable with 50%. I can't even answer that question.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, it would be staggering, the impact that would happen, and when we talk about like we just finished up our 50th year. This organization started in 1973, 50. So in our 51st year, we talk about like generational impact. That's the stuff that keeps you another 50 years, and you keep evolving and keep getting better. So I mean, it's hard to tell, man. But nothing bad would happen. I can tell you that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like. I guess kind of the flip side of that is, what do you, in your opinion, what would you say prevents people, or what do you think the kind of the barrier is for people that don't join? I mean, I guess to me that's pretty amazing. I mean, that only 10% of all turkey hunters are.
Me too.
You know what I mean? That's
I would have thought it would have been quite a bit higher.
me too. I mean,
So we base that. So that's based off of like turkey licenses sold for
Right.
across
Sure,
each state.
yeah.
So I mean, think how many like people that just hunt deer, you know, that are just diehard deer hunting fans, and they only hunt turkeys because it's just something to do. It gets them out in the woods. They might only go like once or twice, you know. So I think for that's probably a lot of it where people it's just not their thing, you know.
I can't imagine life like that.
Yeah,
It'd be tough.
I can't either, man. So I would imagine that's probably some of it, and I think some of it's just people just they just don't know about it, and some people just don't care, it's just not that it just human nature. Like we only care about things like if it's right in front of us,
Right.
and if it's not right in front of you, if someone doesn't say, hey, check out this organization, you're turkey hunting, check out this organization, and ask them to be a member. Hey, do you want to be a member? Here's why you should be.
Yeah.
Then they're not gonna, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not picking on anybody. That's just human nature, right? If no one asks you to do something, most of the time we're not going to do it freely.
No.
Well, and one thing that you mentioned the deer hunters and all that, but the projects that NWTF do and accomplish impact every hunter in this country.
That's right.
Everything.
Period.
Every animal, and you guys are biologists, you've heard the term keystone species,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Not a biologist. I just regurgitate what I hear from people like you guys. Keystone species, the work that we do through our agency partners and through private landowners benefits songbirds, freaking rabbits, deer, everything, man.
All kind of non-game
we have
species.
we have an initiative, the Waterways for Wildlife. It's in the West. It's riparian work on streams, in the Rocky Mountains.
Because that's
Like,
important work out there.
That's important work.
it is.
Water is a very limited resource.
We've got a $20 million forestry service agreement with the U.S. Forest Service on the West to help tackle wildlife crisis, to help with timber management, to help with wildfire. And I mean that's like changing human lives. That's and the wildlife at that point is like second.
Yep.
But they also benefit tremendously. So I don't know, man. There's so much that goes into this, and people just don't know about it. I think that could be a lot of it. So
I mean,
sorry, I got off a little tangent there.
No, I mean,
No,
I think that, at the end of the day, like what these guys talk about a lot is like it's habitat management
is.
when you really strip
boil it
everything
down.
Yeah, and that does have the capacity to impact everything.
Without
I guess.
a doubt.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
That's why all hunters should be a member.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to. I'm a member of NDA and Ducks Unlimited, and I try to support the organizations for the critters that I love. And not everyone can do that. But if you can, do one a year. Rotate them, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I feel like I have a little bit more faith in humans, I guess, and humanity. But like, if people knew that they could make that kind of impact, if they knew that those dollars really start to add up, then I mean, I'm just speaking for my take, but I think more people would probably do it. That's pretty impact. I mean, I had no idea. That's pretty crazy that
In everyday life, most people can afford a one-time fee of $35.
yeah, sure.
Most. I'm not saying everybody can.
Yep.
But that's for what is gained, it's a small price to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not directly related, but like I have a 3-year-old who's autistic, and until that was just kind of in our lap, you know what I mean? We were having to deal with what life looks like for a child with autism. We didn't know anything about it really, and didn't and really didn't. I don't say we didn't care, but it's just like out of sight, out of mind type thing. And so I think bringing just awareness, it's like a weird term to use, but to that subject now, I feel like we've kind of been educated on that, and we kind of have a better grasp.
It wasn't right in front of you, and then it's right in front of you, then all of a sudden it's like the most important thing in your life.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing. You just don't know what you don't know.
That's right, absolutely.
So that's cool. Well, I guess in this very kind of last one here, we can this could be answered, I guess, really directly, or we could kind of pass it around and talk about it a lot. But what role can we play to ensure healthy turkey populations? And I mean, obviously, I think you'd probably say be a member, but I mean, beyond that, what can the average person do, the average turkey hunter do to ensure that there are healthy turkey populations in the United States?
Listen to the science. Give your agency partners, your natural resources, your Department of Wildlife, give them a little grace. Let them.
That's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, let them. It's. I didn't realize that, like, as wildlife managers, and I'm talking about like state level personnel, right? Mm-hmm. That managing human emotion and ego, honestly, probably is like their number one job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was fascinating to me. And so I go to all of these meetings and I hear all of these things, and I'm like, man, these guys are getting beat up about this. Like, this is crazy. And this is all science based, So I think that, like, the number one thing that we can do is understand that is there a decline? Yes. Are there a lot of really intelligent, laser focused people across multiple organizations and multiple agencies locked in on this? Absolutely. And there are some really, like, the eyes of the turkey world are on the decline.
Right.
Across researchers, across academia, across the state agencies, the NWTF, all these organizations, right? I mean, people are locked in.
Yeah.
Good.
The distrust in government is running so deep now that it's bleeding in to that type situation.
Yeah.
And I hate to see it, but we saw it firsthand.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can lay the science, you can lay the data down that he and I, as field biologists, took ourselves, and they believe that you've fixed that data to fit.
You've manipulated it in some
Yeah.
way to
fit the circumstance.
Right.
I'll give you your Instagram clip, right, that people are going to get upset about. I think a lot, like, look at the state of Alabama. It is like the epicenter of the turkey population decline, right? Mm. How many turkeys can you kill in Alabama still?
You kill four.
Four. Yeah.
That's crazy. Think about that. 4 turkeys, man. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the percentage is of, like, multiple harvests. I know in Ohio, like, when we dropped our turkeys from 2 to 1, it was 12% of the licensed hunters bought a second tag and harvested a second bird. Mm. But 4 turkeys, man, you're talking about, like, turkey decline. That's like, at what point is it a bag limit issue, right? And so I think that, this is speculation on my part, that 4 bag limit, those agency folks are probably getting hammered by people about not dropping don't take opportunity, right? Because it's limited time to hunt for a lot of people.
Well, and the thing is, that was dropped.
Yeah, that was dropped from 5. That's right.
Yeah,
think about that.
It used
5.
to be 6 or 7.
It used to be 6.
Insane.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I'm not a biologist. I don't live in Alabama. I love hunting down there, right? But when I hear that, it's just like, how, like, angry people are, rightfully so, about the population declines. Okay, what are we going to do at a state level? And I think that we need to, as hunters, we really need to support and trust the science. And I'm sure you guys have heard people talk about, like, the correlation between, like, COVID distrust and then, like, CWD and all of the issues. Like, that's a real thing.
It is.
Like it or not, that's a real thing. That's human nature, man. Mm-hmm. And so I think that those professionals have a really hard job. And I think that, we need to be sympathetic to that but still, like, demand excellence. Mm-hmm. You can do all of that. And I think that part of that comes down to, like, just being respectful of people and having good discourse.
Well, and we tried to communicate that to the public when we worked for the state, where there was so much complaining and griping, and I do understand it because I'm a turkey hunter too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when they were asked, well, why is the state agency doing this? Why is the state agency doing that? Well, we can't, as a state agency, or I say a state agency cannot mandate better habitat management to the public. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what they can do is influence bag limits and seasons. That's the only thing they can regulate.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, take my home state of Ohio. Our public land is less than 5% of our land mass. 5%. So when we talk about landscape level impact, we're working on 5%. Mm-hmm. And what of that has turkey? Let's just say it's 3%. So we have 3% of the land mass that the state, and then, okay, well, we've got 60 people to do the work, and so it's a challenge. it's a challenge at all levels, and to kind of piggyback off of your point, like the importance and the role of private landowners is tremendous. It is tremendous. That's a greater responsibility than any state.
That's right.
It is, and it's it's an honor to be in that position, for landowners, and to take it seriously, and you guys, I hear this all the time. I used to be. It's not like it was 30 years ago, and then you start listening to the foresters and biologists start talking about, well, what have you done? I haven't done anything. I haven't touched it, and they're like, oh,
There you go.
oh, okay, yeah, let's talk about that, and it's just so there's all of these things that as humans we can do to influence it, but the private landowner impact is like so understated. People don't even know, and then you got public land schmucks like me. They're just like, I want more turkeys, so it's. But.
Well, and I think. From the Alabama, just strictly on Alabama perspective, a lot of the hate that our state got was they've been real slow to come around to managing deer in zones, and we're even slower to manage turkeys in zones. We obviously have turkeys gobbling much earlier in South Alabama than we do in North Alabama, and they know that, and they're making some changes. But there's some areas that that my family owns property in that is seeing a sharp increase in turkey numbers, where other areas are seeing a very sharp decrease.
Yeah.
And we try to get that through, and it's a slow process, but I think they're working on it. But managing a state is tough.
It is tough. It's such a hard job, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the folks that do it. So.
Yeah. Well, I know Matt has even said it before, like, well, why did you do this or that? Why didn't you do this? And it's like, well, you can only make regulations for things that you can actually enforce.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you can't enforce it, then like, what are we doing? And that even goes for, like, I think on that episode we were talking about zones, like the deer zone. There's how many zones are in Alabama? I don't even know now.
6 now.
6 now, is it?
Yeah.
I think.
A, B, C, D, E,
F.
F. Do we have an F?
I think so.
Well, it's like.
But anyway.
But yeah, it's just like, why'd you make this boundary here and not there? And it's like, well, how are you going to enforce that boundary? There's nothing.
Yeah, but we're talking turkeys here, but
right
up to what was it, 4 years ago? There were only 2 zones, and 6 or 7 years ago, we managed the entire state exactly the same way, from the Cumberland Plateau to the coastal plain, and.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally different environments.
But we've finally gotten out of that, and that's coming for the turkey too, because it's totally different.
The
for
landscape
them as well.
is what I feel like is the biggest difference, and you have such a higher population in certain parts of the state of Alabama. They cannot continue to have the same length of days and opportunity and bag limits in certain parts of the state just because of human habitation.
Yeah.
And, when you start talking about changing seasons and bag limits, and when you do a shotgun approach or a blanket change across an entire state, no, that's likely not the best management tool or management decision, but something has to be done.
Yeah. I think it's, it's for the modern turkey hunter, it is, I don't want to say it's unique because we've gone through this before. With people that are still alive and still hunting turkeys, they've been through the restoration and, when there were no turkeys, but it's the first time in decades that we've had to struggle with populations.
Yeah.
And, I think that people need to take a deep breath and just, focus on like long term, right? And just know that it's not going to be, you've got 2 turkeys gobbling, and then the next year you're going to have 60. Like that's just not not going to happen.
Not how it
and
works.
be happy with that, and be happy with the fact that it's like, it's just good long-term management practices. And there's more wild turkey research. I've done some interviews with Michael Chamberlain, and he said in his 40 years as a researcher, there's more wild turkey research being done in the last 2 years than there ever has.
Really?
And there are more people. And so when I did when I did an interview with him and Brett Collier down in the University of Georgia, I did like the Google research. You can see how many people have like Googled a certain term. And so you look like you can see wild turkey research, and it's funny because it's like nothing, and then like 2011 a little bump, and then it just like slowly start because people care, right? Because they're starting to lose that opportunity. So there's that's a positive, I think.
Yeah.
More people are talking about it, and more people care. So
We had it good for so long that when things started going bad, by gosh,
Panic button.
It was 5 alarm. By gosh,
yeah.
Some people a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think a lot of the decline that we've seen in turkey numbers is the increase in turkey hunters, because I remember growing up.
didn't have any.
You didn't have any competition when you were in the turkey woods in the spring. You were the only one out there. You might hear or come across another turkey hunter, every now and then. A couple of years ago, I've got several properties to hunt in a couple different counties.
Ah, shut up.
I did not go hunting one single morning the entire season where I was the only person calling to a bird on private land.
Wow. Man, that's crazy. That would I'd freak out. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'd lose my mind.
I do.
That happened to me because you can't walk so far. You can only walk so far.
Yeah.
We've talked about it from a deer perspective too, but I think a lot of times now the less pressured animals are on public land.
Oh, absolutely. I'm convinced that there's less pressure on public land, a lot of public land now than there is in private in holdings, just because it's so broken up.
Yeah.
So many people hunting it.
I have permission to deer hunt on a really nice piece of property in Ohio, and I killed a really nice buck this year during the rut. And that morning, I'm in my stand at like 5 in the morning, and there's 5 properties along this ridge, and I'm hunting like a little bottom, and it's it's a cornfield, and a little bit of ag here, and a little creek bottom, but the ridge, and so I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 lights. Like just people walking down the ridge from their house, getting into their tree stand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this sucks. And 7:45, I had a big old buck on the ground. I can see this guy in his tree stand. I see him climb out. And he's just salty about it. But I mean, it's a tremendous amount of, and it just adds a layer, right?
Yeah,
it just adds a layer of just hunting skill and experience. And I love the saying, with public land, you're either going to kill a turkey with your feet or your seat. Yeah. So public land, it's going to be a little bit of both. Private land, you might have to just sit there and wait them out. So
It's true. That's cool, man. Well, as far as questions go, that's about all I've got.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, or you guys, or anybody has any other questions for Paul. But I dig it, man. Awesome. So
good.
but yeah, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
And hanging out with us, and by the way, great show too, man. I mean, it seems like everything is a well-oiled machine around here, and
this has been the best first day that I have seen in years.
Yeah. The convention team that we have that organizes all this, the corporate team that we have, they're unbelievable. It's an elite group of people that make this happen, and it's neat to watch the animal move. When this thing gets in, and a ton of people put a ton of work into this. Yeah. It's our Super Bowl. We're proud to do it and happy to do it, and it's neat to see it go off. It's not without its problems, that's for sure.
Speaking of it being y'all Super Bowl, so what's in store for you after
convention?
Yeah, just sit back and chill.
Man, so or
start scouting turkeys.
Yeah, for sure, doing some of that. We had like 60-degree weather last week in Ohio.
Oh man.
There's a turkey gobbling somewhere. I'm like, I got to get out there, So, but it's funny. My wife and daughters they come down every week during convention on Friday, and I fly down and then we ride back together, and I sleep from the moment I hit the seat in the parking lot until I get home. And this is the week to make an impact for me, personally and professionally with our members. And I put every ounce of energy I have into it, and I collapse. And the next week it's all follow up. It's reaching out and thanking the people the way that they need to be thanked, and just rolling in. And so it's 100 mile an hour from the moment I step foot in here until my last turkey hunt of the year.
Yeah.
You know, trying to just personally and professionally. This is my time, man. I love it, man.
This is it.
I feed off the energy, and I can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
people that aren't diehard turkey hunters they just don't understand.
No.
I mean, even the health impacts
Yeah.
that people incur over a turkey.
Yeah.
I lose several pounds every spring.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have much to lose
I don't.
over there.
I mean, I go from looking puny to
Downright
bad,
little.
just little. Yeah, just
I
a
mean,
little fella.
my eyes are sunk in by the time you the end of the year because I hunt multiple states, man. I'm very fortunate to do that, and
running on
and,
just a couple hours sleep a night.
yeah,
Coffee.
Oh, absolutely, man. I have a Tahoe. I got this little system. You know, I got these magnetic screens I put on the so I can roll my windows down. I got a cot that I sleep in and eating out of a can. I mean, it's just like it is. It is Spartan, man, and it just beats you down. But at the end of the season, it's just like, oh, I hate life. It sucks, and it's just my kids and wife are like, you're home.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
yeah,
I know. I don't know how it works the same way with you guys and turkeys, but usually when deer season ends, it's almost relief. It's like, oh, thank you. Like now I don't have to be presented with the opportunity to go run to
get
the
up and
woods.
go.
Like now I can't go if I wanted to. Like,
it's definitely not like that for me, man.
It's different.
It is.
It depends on what kind of year I've had.
Yeah.
There's sometimes be like, man, I'm glad I'm through getting my butt kicked.
Yeah.
And then there's years to be like,
See, that was last year for me. I did not. This last year was the first year I did not kill a bird in Alabama since I've been turkey hunting.
Really?
Yeah, and it was not from lack of opportunity. I called in 11 turkeys.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 3 in Alabama.
Really?
Yeah.
well, don't come with us.
Well, I know I called in birds nearly every time I went.
I love it. I love it down there. It's a beautiful state, man. Coming from Ohio, I had this perception of Alabama before I'd been there, right? And
I bet I know what it is.
It's like sand and flat, right? Like that's my perception.
No.
And then I get to like north central Alabama. I'm like, oh, there's some big hills. Like my goodness, on the national forest. I'm like, holy cow! Like I felt like the most intense thermal that I've ever felt.
Oh,
And I'm like, this is crazy. And I see this huge 2,800 foot peak. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, man. So
Yeah.
you're talking about longleaf pines, and we'll end on this.
Yeah.
First time I went hunting in Alabama, I did a couple days. I entertained some folks, and we had some landowners in Alabama real gracious to host an NWTF event. So I guided some guys from Colorado and almost made it happen. And then the landowner had some access or some land about an hour away that he let me hunt. So I go down there, man, and I am like, I'm ready. Like I've been hunting but not carrying a gun for 3 days, and I am frothed up at this point. Like, I can't even see straight. Right?
Sure.
Like I am freaking beside myself.
Something's got to die.
Oh yeah, man. So I get out there and I'm walking all over the place, and I finally realized how hilly Alabama is, and I'm just all over, man. I'm loving it, and I strike up. It was super windy that day, which wind just immediately I'm angry, just angry, I'm just everything, right? And so I finally get this turkey to strike up. It's about 1 PM, and I sit down, and he just does what a turkey does, and gobbles and gets kind of close, and then walks off, right? And so I do this big J hook and I get out in front. And I'm on I cross the road, and so this private property bordered state land. And so I'm probably 100 yards off, and I finally get this turkey to start working back in. And he's maybe 75 yards from me, and he's in full strut, and he's this little swampy area, and he's coming through, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. I'm dialed in. I'm just waiting. I'm enjoying the moment, just watching him do his thing, and I can hear a truck coming down the road. This is the grass is this tall. He's wide open. I'm like, this guy's gonna screw my hunt up. And you can see this turkey in full strut from the road, and dude, his window goes down. I can hear his window go down. This turkey's still in full strut. And I see his arm go out with his cell phone, and he's taking a picture of this turkey. And that thing just drops his feathers, man, and turns around and runs off. And I'm so mad at this guy. And then I'm like, I've been that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Where you've been hunting like public land all day and you don't see anything, and then you finally get to the private line, you're like, darling, take a picture. Like, so I was like, instantly mad. Then it's just like, okay, I've definitely done this before, so I'm sorry to anyone that I'm like, at this point, I'm like beside myself, man. And I'm like, I'm gonna kill this turkey. So I do another big old hook and get in front of him, gobbles one time, and then he just disappears, man. Poof, gone, like they do. And so I was just really upset. And then I'm just like looking around. I'm in this beautiful part of the country that I've never been in. I'm on this beautiful piece, and I'm just, there's like the longleaf pines, and there's this little creek that's running through, and I just like, I'm just gonna sit down because my time, I had to go home, my day was over, and that was it. And so I sit down, I set my shotgun down, and I'm just like, I'm thinking about like how grateful I'm just trying to be, have a little gratitude, right? How grateful I am for my job and for all these people that are letting me be here, and that I get to hunt in this country. Like, I was loving it, right? And so I got my knees up, and I'm just sitting there relaxing. I look over, and there's one of those like longleaf pines, and there's a snake that's about 8 foot long on this. I mean, it's from me to this camera, if you can see this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm from Ohio. We don't have snakes like that. And I'm like, oh shit, that is a snake. That is a big snake. And so I just, oh God, man, what do I? And I didn't know what to do, so my shotgun was in between me and the snake, right? You guys see me. I'm a big dude. My legs are up. And so I get the courage. I reach over. I'm thinking like the entire time I'm going to die, right? Like, this is it. I'm going to die. And this snake is just looking at me. I don't even know what kind of snake it is, right? And so I grab my shotgun. I got my hands on it. I'm just looking at this thing, man. I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. And I spring up like a gazelle. And I'm about 6'3", 280 pounds for your listeners. And I spring up as graceful as you could possibly, like one motion, gone. And I am running as fast as I can through this little field, right? This little clearing. run through the water, and as I'm running through the water, I step on a stick, and this stick jumps up, and it hits me right at the leg. And I have a heart attack, and I'm just like, I'm shaking with fear.
It got him.
It got me. And I'm standing there, and out loud I had to tell. There's no one around. Out loud I had to say these words. I said, "You're gonna be all right, big fella. You're not gonna die today. The truck is 80 yards from where you're at. Just start walking. You're gonna be okay."
Okay.
And that was my snake in Alabama story. That
Can't
was
imagine
it,
why you don't want to go back to Alabama.
That's it, man.
Jeez.
That's all I got.
Oh, jeez, man.
That's
Oh,
pretty good.
well, I guess that's a good one to end on because I don't think we're going to top
We're not
that.
going to talk about that.
I don't think we're
Gonna
going to
be
top
all right,
that.
big guy.
That's it. I was talking to myself. Like, it's just, you're gonna be all right.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Paul, thanks so much, man.
No, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We appreciate it. And by the way, you guys check out the Turkey Season podcast. It's good, man.
I got a series right now about a good old Alabama boy, Ben Rogers Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a four-part series with him. I've interviewed friends of his that lived with him, or childhood friends that worked with him, filmed with him. His son, Ben Lee Jr. So this is a deep dive into who he was as a man, as a turkey hunter, and his impact. We talked a lot about impact tonight, and his impact on what's going on right now in modern turkey hunting, and how he influential he was. So yeah, wonderful guy.
Yeah, you guys check it out, and that really should be said for everybody that's on the network. I'm not just saying this, but if you haven't checked out the entire lineup on the OKS, like, there is some really cool stuff happening there.
It really is, man. It's cool to be a part of.
Yeah, like OKS Trapper, by the way, Zach, like that's pretty awesome stuff there. His story's wild. Wrote the book Turning Feral. Just kept basically.
If you're a trapper,
you're
wild anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
So the Onset, OKS Fisher, there's all kind of stuff going on there, and it just is cool. Go check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, thanks for having me, man. Good luck with the podcast and everything you guys do, man. I'm whatever I can do to help you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Well, guys, that'll wrap it up. We will see you on the next one. Thanks so much. Please follow us on all our social platforms, subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. We've got some, obviously, we're still waiting on a bow. It may or may not be here by now, but we'll be giving away a Darton Sequel 33. So as soon as that happens, we get it here, we'll let you know how you can win it. So thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Out.